Hi folks, welcome to Dragonfly Projects. Glad to have you back. Today I'm going to talk about the Igland 3501 skidding winch. I've been using this winch for about 10 hours, mostly for doing storm cleanup. About a month ago, a large storm came through and blew down thousands of my trees on the property. So we've been using the winch to safely move them and get rid of snags that are caught in other trees from a safe distance to make it a lot safer to bring down the snags. I have about 10 hours operating this machine. The Igland 3501 is good for 7,700 pounds of pulling power. It weighs about 500 pounds. It comes with 165 feet of cable. It comes with 3 adapters for your choker chains, which are also included with the winch. It is rated from 30 to 70 horsepower tractors. Currently it's attached to my Kubota L4060. The L4060 has about 42 horsepower at the engine and translates to about 36 horsepower at the PTO. I find it's a nice combination. It's not too big for the tractor and not too small. And this combination has worked great for me right now. I'll bring you closer and I'll show you the winch. Then we'll see the winch in action, and I've got some footage from the storm cleanup. So stick around. So here's the winch attached to my Kubota. It supports category 1 or 2 PTO. You just flip the pins around for your category 2. Now it's attached to category 1 tractor. The only thing I had to do for my particular tractor, is I had to cut about 3 inches off the PTO. It's very simple to do. You just use a hacksaw or something to cut metal. The only thing to remember is you have to cut 4 pieces. So basically the PTO is 2 tubes sliding into each other. When you separate them, you have to cut 3 inches from both, and same for the guards. So you have to cut all 4 pieces. Here is the clutch release or brake. In this position, the drum is on the brake. So that means that once you're done reeling something in, the cable will not release its tension. If it's on this side, the brake is not on, so the cable will be free to unwind. There are hooks on both sides. I use this side to put my choker chains. These are nice chains. Basically, we'll show you the action when I pull the tree over there in a second. But they work very well. There's 3 of them, and you just loop them through the provided adapter. You can also use the end to attach a choker chain to it, or you can wrap it around the cable itself. There are 2 pulling positions, so you can remove the pin and attach the pulley on the lower position if you want. The bottom section, the blade here, has spots where you can put some of the chains. So if you want to just pull the log without using the cable, you can. This part also pivots, so if you're looking for more clearance when you're moving against logs or in the brush, you're allowed to pivot it. They also say that if you're pulling something quite heavy and your tractor is being pulled back, you can just put back up against a stump or a solid object that will help you block the tractor so you won't back up as you're pulling. On this side here, there's a nice long cord that I'll show you later that goes to the clutch. So once the PTO is engaged, you simply pull on the cable slowly and it will slowly engage the clutch. And here you can see the top link attachment. There's a bit of storage there if you want. There is a protective cage. I kind of wish it was a bit bigger. Some of the other winches out there goes a little higher and covers the window in case the cable does snap. It does protect you in that case. So this is something I would have loved to see. But overall, very satisfied with this winch. And let's see in action. So when the storm came around, this very nice red maple broke, and I want to preserve that wood. So there's 2 tops that broke off that we're going to pull out. Then I'm going to use a chainsaw and cut off the main trunk and pull it out, put it aside and get it to dry, because I would love to one day be able to use it to create a kitchen butcher block countertop for my kitchen island. Another thing found in the instructions, it says that your winch has to be at a 10 or 20 degree angle facing this way when it's down on the ground. So I have mine closer to 20. And when you're pulling This pulley does pivot from side to side, so you can go 180 degrees on both sides, but they say you don't want to pull more than 30 degrees of angle on both sides because your tractor could tip over. All right, so here's a good example. This part of the maple is not attached anymore, but it's stuck. It's also stuck on the ground there. So this part could fall any moment, and I don't want to really stand underneath it and yank on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to throw the winch cable on top of it and loop it around and see if I can't pull it or nudge it just so that it falls to the ground. By the way, this winch operates at 540 RPM on the PTO. So for my tractor, that's about 2,500 RPM. So I'll get the tractor started. I'm sorry if the noise cuts off, but you'll get to see what I do. All right, gonna carefully rehook the line, get out of the danger zone, get some tension on here, and we're gonna pull it. All right, turns out it's not fully detached. The easiest thing to do would be to pull it from the side. So let's do that. All right, same plan, but this time we're gonna pull from the side. I did order a snatch block, which is basically a pulley we can use by attaching it to another tree. It's a couple days later since I filmed the video, and my Princess Auto order came in. Princess Auto, if you don't know, is like the Canadian Harbor Freight. So this is a snatch block. So basically you open it up, you put your cable through it, you close it, take a shackle like this to shackle it to a tree. Here's what you put around the tree. You attach this to it. And basically this is a pulley that gives you the ability to change directions without having to move the tractor. So it becomes more versatile, especially if you're by yourself. I don't have to move the tractor by myself all the time. And this is something that hangs on top of the winch, the line, the cable. And if the cable was to snap, you put this hanging on the cable around the middle part. So if the cable does snap, it will absorb some of the energy so that you don't get a whip, a giant metal whip coming back at your face very fast. That could cause some serious damage. So whenever there's a long pull and a lot of tension on the cord, I'm going to use this for small carries, and I won't bother. It's a pulley you can attach on another tree so you can change the direction where you're pulling without moving your winch, which would be quite nice. Attempt number 2. Perfect. So that worked really well. I didn't have to stand underneath it. I didn't have to use a chainsaw to start cutting until it released. I just pulled it off, and then I'm going to reposition where I was originally so I can pull it out of the woods and save that lumber. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the limbs and the torn parts and use a skidding cone with a choking chain to pull the logs out without them getting snagged up everywhere. All right, I've got a nice long straight section. I'm gonna take my choking chain and my cone. Put the chain against the bottom, the cone as a whole, get the chain through the hole. The cone is not necessary, but it will make my life much easier. Take one of the adapters to the choker chain, attach it, make sure it's on, and start pulling slowly. So thanks to the cone, when the log got to this part, instead of getting stuck in this tree, it just moved around because it's a nice round shape. So it works very well. Let's do the same with this part here. All right, same thing. So here, inside, attach the chain, make sure this is good. The cone might not stick on properly, but we'll see what happens. All right, so this is the main section of the trunk that I want to save for lumber to try and make my butcher block kitchen island. It is leaning slightly that way. I do want it to fall this way, although it wouldn't be a big thing if it fell that way. Actually, yeah, let's not fight it. We'll drop it that way, then we'll pull it towards the tractor with the winch. Because it doesn't matter that much where it falls. I don't have to move it by hand. I'll use a tractor to do it for me. Awesome. All right, let's pull it. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to move the tractor to over there, and we're going to pull it that way, and hopefully the stump doesn't cause it grief. What I'll do is I might cut it at an angle to help it slide along. That's probably going to help. All right, let's try this again. I want to make sure I don't get caught up like last time. It's obviously better to do all this when the ground is frozen because it doesn't damage it as much. But because I have thousands of trees to collect, I want to get to them before the bugs get to them. So the more precious ones I'll do now, and then the rest will wait until the soil freezes. Sorry. The others I'll wait until the soil freezes. And in the meantime, I'll have to be careful and try not to damage the trees too much. So if I wanted to skid this log and leave with it, what I'll do is I'll come back here and I'll lock the drum that tension will remain on this. And I try not to cross over where the PTO, so not reaching over where the rotating PTO, because rotating farm equipment is dangerous and that's how accidents happen. So while it's still attached, ideally I would have stayed in the same position as I was before, because the other two logs were there and I can skid easily 3 at a time. So I'm just going to demonstrate with the one. So slowly I try to get as close as I can. And you can see there still is tension now. So I'm going to drag the log and slowly lift it, because the higher it is off the ground, the less damage it causes when you're dragging it. So that was my mistake. I left the little silver arm on the wrong side, so the brake disengaged. So now you will see it will stay engaged. So now it's up. So what I'll do is I'll lift my winch even more with the tractor, and then I'll drive away with the log. So I hope this was a short demonstration that you were able to enjoy and understand how the skidding winch works. For my part, I paid, with taxes shipped to my door, $5,500 Canadian. I was also looking at the Wallenstein FX85, which I prefer the design of the cage for protective purposes. It comes up much higher, and it also has a adapter for a 2-inch trailer hitch receiver, which would be nice. This was purchased during COVID times, so obviously supply sometimes is an issue. The Wallenstein was more expensive than this unit, and I got this from the time of purchase to the time I received it within 1 week. So that was great for me. I'm very pleased with it. I don't have any negatives to say about it. The instructions are not great. Igland is a Norwegian company, I think. It's from Norway. There is a manual that comes with it, but it's not very detailed. Some of the stuff I had to guess or check online other users how they managed to overcome their little problems. The fact that I had to shorten the PTO shaft, well, that's specific to my tractor. They give you a bit more so it fits more tractors. I know my tractor with the air ride seat, you cannot disengage the deadman switch. So if I get out of the seat with the PTO running, the tractor shuts down, so I have to put something on the seat to counteract that, but that is no fault of the winch. It was able to uproot a tree. I was trying to get a snag out of a tree, and it uprooted the whole pine, so that was quite impressive. I'm very happy with it. It skidded all these logs that I'm keeping for the sawmill that I eventually hope to purchase. Same thing with the maple that we just pulled out today. Very happy. It's part of my collection now of implements. This was a I'd like to have one day, but since the storm passed, it became a I need to have, just to remove all those dangerous trees. And for that purpose, it made dangerous jobs a lot more safe and a lot quicker. So I think the snatch block, I'm sorry, so many flies and mosquitoes. So I think once we have the snatch block, it's going to remove my need to always move the tractor whenever I want to pull, because again, you want to have a 30-degree angle to the side only when pulling, so the tractor doesn't get pulled over. And if it's something really heavy, or you're pulling a bit more from the side, this is where you want to lower the pulley here where you're pulling from, so that you're not as high, so you're less tippy. And obviously the parking brake is on and the loader down when I'm pulling to be as stable as possible. And like they said, if you want, you can attach this or back it up against a stump or something solid to try and hold it in position. It also comes with a little kickstand behind that you can put down, so when you take it off, it stays upright. And it's very narrow, it's very small. Acts as a great counterweight right now when I'm carrying logs, because it is 500 pounds, but it's nice and small. So when I'm maneuvering in the forest, it's a lot nicer, instead of having a big rotary cutter at the back that sticks out 6 feet. So overall, very happy with it. And I would have no problem recommending this winch to anybody. And very pleased. Thanks for sticking around, guys. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, thumbs up. and subscribe. I'll have more content with the winch. Now we've gotten rid of the snags. If you look at the previous video, that was in front of the house. Now we're going to go inside of the forest and try to get those prize trees. I have some very, very big white pines that came down, and they would make for great lumber that I want to use to build some stuff. So stick around. Thanks for watching. Take care.